This is TradeFlow News, bringing you relevant news and insights from around the world. TradeFlow News, enabling trade for SMEs and economies worldwide.
These are some of the key topics that we will be looking into in today's program.
First, let's take a look at the overnight headlines which are impacting the commodity markets.
U.S. renewable diesel and biodiesel producers ramped up operations in October to multi-month highs, helped by stronger margins for the biofuels, according to data compiled by advisory group Aegis Hedging. Renewable diesel producers utilized 77% of their total operable capacity in October, the highest since July 2024, the data showed. Biodiesel plant utilization rose to 89%, the highest since June 2023. Rising utilization rates and improving margins are a welcome relief for the biofuels industry, after operators endured a rough start to 2024 as demand growth slowed, leaving the market oversupplied and forcing a number of biodiesel plant closures.
Oil prices rose on Friday, closing the week higher on the back of cold weather in Europe and the US as well as additional economic stimulus flagged by China. Brent crude futures settled 58 cents, or 0.8%, higher at $76.51 a barrel, the highest level since October 14. US West Texas Intermediate crude settled 83 cents, or 1.13%, to $73.96, the highest level since October 11. Brent notched a 2.4% weekly gain, while WTI climbed nearly 5%. Signs of Chinese economic fragility heightened expectations of policy measures to boost growth in the world's top oil importer.
Moving on to the top news in the energy sector.
Indonesia Energy and Mineral Resources Minister signed a decree on Friday allocating 15.6 million kilolitres of biodiesel for 2025 distribution, while giving the industry until the end of next month to adapt to the higher level of the fuel in the mix. Indonesia, the world's largest exporter of palm oil, had planned to launch the mandatory requirement of 40% palm oil fuel in biodiesel on January 1, up from 35% now. The ministerial regulation has been signed, the Minister Bahlil Lahadalia told reporters, adding the government was working to increase the mandatory biodiesel mix to 50% next year.
Asian spot liquefied natural gas, LNG, prices rose this week to a one-month peak, as the expiry of a transit deal for Russian gas through Ukraine caused uncertainty in Europe's gas outlook. The average LNG price for February delivery into Northeast Asia was $14.60 per million British thermal units, MMBTU, industry sources estimated. Ukraine had allowed Russia to keep pumping gas across its territory despite nearly 3 years of war, but Kyiv refused to renew a 5-year deal that expired on New Year's Day. Next, we have the top news in metal markets. Indonesia is reviewing its annual nickel ore mining quota, seeking to prevent further price falls, Energy and Mineral Resources Minister Bahlil Lahadalia told reporters on Friday. He did not disclose how much ore production will be allowed for 2025, saying the quota will depend on ore demand. Indonesia last year approved annual nickel ore mining quotas of 240 million metric tons each year until 2026. Bloomberg News reported in December that authorities were considering cutting the quota to 150 million tons to support prices.
China's Commerce Ministry has proposed export restrictions on some technology used to make battery components and process critical minerals lithium and gallium, a document issued on Thursday showed. If implemented, they would be the latest in a series of export restrictions and bans targeting critical minerals and the technology used to process them, areas in which Beijing is globally dominant. Their announcement precedes the inauguration later this month of Donald Trump for a second term during which he is expected to use tariffs and various trade restrictions against other countries, in particular China.
We will now look at the top news in the agricultural sector.
The United Nations World Food Price Index dipped in December against November levels, led lower by a drop in international sugar quotations, but still showed a robust gain year-on-year, data showed on Friday. The index, compiled by the UN Food and Agriculture Organization, FAO, to track the most globally traded food commodities, fell to 127.0 points last month from a slightly revised 127.6 in November. The November figure was previously put at 127.5. The December value was up 6.7% from 12 months previously, yet remained 20.7% below the all-time high reached in March 2022, FAO said.
That is all for today's news on commodity markets. Stay tuned to TradeFlow News as we continue to provide you with more updates. We also invite you to follow us on Twitter at TradeFlow News, which allows you to watch our program on your mobile device or desktop to receive information from there.